Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to be filming today because I have so much to update you guys on. So I got back from Thailand at the end of June, and as soon as I came back to Paris, I have just been dealing with like all of this moving stuff. As you guys know, I found my dream apartment, and I am going to be getting the keys in 2 days, and I'm so excited. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. Yeah, I haven't filmed in a couple weeks because at the end of my stay in Thailand, I just realized that I needed to have a little bit of just time to myself. A lot of the things that I wanted to do when I went to Thailand, I wasn't able to do. For example, I went there to record like some music stuff, and I just didn't take into account the sounds in the forest and how that would affect, like, you know, making demos and things. But I think that sometimes good luck comes disguised as bad luck, and that's something that I always try to remember whenever I'm going through an obstacle or something doesn't go as planned, is that if things aren't going my way, it's for a reason. And there is no such thing in my universe as a negative experience. There's just experiences in which we haven't maybe gotten the lesson out yet. And of course, like, traumatic things could happen in our life that are really difficult to go through. But I do try to remember that when we're going through something difficult or things aren't going our way, all we have to do is shift the perspective.
This by no means is something I've mastered. It's something that I aspire to, but that doesn't mean that things don't still affect us and that we aren't still supposed to feel our emotions. But I do notice in the moments where I try to shift my perspective and see the lesson and the positive in things, that it's just an overall better experience. And I believe that we're faced with adversity for it to help us grow. We don't grow staying comfortable. And I think that's truly and ultimately why we are faced with triggers and obstacles in our life. So I just wanted to add that in, that by no means have I mastered this concept, and I obviously still go through things and have to sort of recenter myself. At least you're getting some nice sunsets in.
I've been making it a point to do a lot of self-work this summer, so I definitely want to talk about that. Yeah, I also went to Thailand to work on my journal series. I have this Affirmation Journal series that I started in the beginning of the year. It's actually quite crazy because the other day I came across this journal of mine when I was 19. And I don't know if this ever happens to you guys when you find a journal from yourself, your younger self, and you're like, whose handwriting is this? It's like, it feels like a totally different person. But it was really touching and funny to read. First of all, I was so fucking funny. I'm still funny, but anyway, in the journal I was writing about how I felt really lost and I didn't know what to do with my life. And it was actually right after that that I just decided to move to Paris, and everything changed, and I just had this crazy adventure. And I was thinking, I wonder what myself then would have thought about my life now, like the fact that, you know, I'm an artist and I'm French now, and just all of the crazy things that have happened. And I think what's really wonderful about that is that it makes me think that the next chapter, there's probably so many amazing things that are gonna happen that we can't even imagine yet. Like, my younger self could never imagine that I'd be doing something like that. But I think that one of the things that really helped me along my journey to gain confidence and really just sort of go after my dreams is affirmations, which is why I wanted to start the Affirmation Journal series. And I'm super excited, especially now, to announce that today I am releasing the third journal in the series, the I Know Where I Belong journal. It's available right now. You guys can get it down below in paperback and hardcover. I'm super excited about the colors on this one. They just came out so beautiful and vibrant, so they're really good for back to school. The painting is an original painting that I did called Blue Skies Are Overrated. And I love this painting, first of all, because it reminds me that, you know, there's always other ways of doing things. Like, you don't have to have the blue sky just because that's what we have in the traditional everyday life. Like, that's what we see. You can see things differently. I think that essentially we're all trying to find our place in the world are calling and trying to figure out like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? And I love this affirmation, like, I know where I belong, because it's sort of like, I know my value, like I know what I bring to the table. And maybe in your life right now, you don't know where you belong, like you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing. But I promise you, once you start saying these things every day subconsciously, your brain wants to align itself with whatever you're saying about yourself. That's why it's so important to be careful about what you say out loud. For example, I never speak negatively about my projects, even if, you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't like this as much. I really try never to do that, because our cells, our brain, are always trying to align our outer world with what we're saying on the inside. So saying like, I know where I belong, is just this beautiful feeling of comfort. And the other day I went on this podcast and somebody was asking me like, why did you name your channel The Purple Palace? And I've talked about that a little bit on here, but one of the main reasons I named my channel The Purple Palace and then my projects ensuite is that when I was first starting my channel, I actually had this dream where in the dream there was this beautiful purple palace, and I walked inside and it was just understood that this place existed to house all of my hopes and dreams, and there was always a place for whatever I created. And so I named my channel that because I wanted people to come here and feel that same sense of belonging. And yeah, I also think it's really just sort of serendipitous because to release this journal now, because I have manifested my dream home. You guys have watched me over the last year struggle trying to find a place. I've been living in this little chambre de bonne for the last like 3 years, and I've really appreciated the healing that I've had here, and it came on the heels of like the end of a relationship, and I, you know, was sort of in a hurry to find something, and now I feel like I'm really ready to have my place, a place where I have so many hopes and dreams of community. And I want to have like a weekly like women's meetup where we talk about like our spirituality. Actually, like last week we had a Patreon meetup, little picnic, and it just felt so beautiful to share like what we're going through. And I just realized that this is something I love so much, is creating community. I want to have like little music sessions with people, and yeah, and I've never been able to really have that before. Like in this apartment, it was always too small to really invite people over. And so I had on my vision board that I dreamed to have my own apartment, and right when it didn't work out with this other place that I made like some videos about, this new place came the same day like that I said no to the other place. And I think that sometimes, like I said, good luck comes disguised as bad luck. So yeah, I will link this down below if you also want to be reminded every day that you have your place in this world. And I just love the colors. I think it's maybe my favorite journal cover, and I know that I say that for every journal I design, but I think I'm just getting better at it, and it's really a big passion of mine is designing journals. And you know, it's been actually quite interesting to go through some of my old journals recently, and because I think you just forget, like I think your mind forgets that, you know, it was a while ago when I was going through certain things. And I think the beauty of journaling is you can't lie to yourself. Like I can't go back and be like, oh yeah, this is how it was like 5 years ago, because I literally can go back. But yeah, this is what I was working on in Thailand because I couldn't work on music at all, but that was great. I was super excited to work on this project. This is something as well that people have been asking me about is, you know, how is it having so many different projects and things that you're working on? And I kind of want to touch on that because what people look at as your weakness can also be your superpower. Like it could be looked at as a negative thing that I sort of have my attention in many different places, but to me, I never get blocked ever, and I'm not exaggerating. Like I'm actually very proud of this, that I haven't limited myself. Like whenever I feel like I kind of don't want to work on this music piece anymore, I can shift over to painting. And I think that this ability to release the ego and not need to define myself in a certain way is something that I'm really proud of, because I think that in this society we're always trying to tell girls how to be, how to dress. Oh my god, speaking of, so I don't really want to touch on this long because I don't even want to give this person the time of day. But so my last few days in Thailand were really beautiful. I went to this elephant sanctuary and I went and got to feed them, and yeah, it was just like a really nice, I had overall a very good time there. I feel like the people were very warm. Besides the fact that I was like super fucking lonely after a second because like the island was just so deserted, and I'm trying to think of that as a reminder to myself that yeah, like, and community is important to you, and this was like a lesson that I needed to learn. But on the last day I got to meet my Airbnb host, which I hadn't the entire trip. He was like nowhere to be seen. And he was actually like really kind and nice, just like normal. He talked a lot, but I'm kind of used to older people just like talking at me a lot because I think I'm a good listener. And yeah, I just try to be really present for people. But yeah, it was just all very normal. And he asked what I did. I said that I had a YouTube channel, which I kind of regretted saying because I feel like sometimes people don't care, but then other times people will just like go and watch all your videos. And when I got back to Paris, he asked me if I would leave him a nice review on Airbnb, which I did. Even though like there were some problems with Airbnb, I'm like, whatever, I'll just give him like a 5-star review because I don't know, I'm just gonna leave him good karma. But then I got a really strange message, which was like, yeah, and like, I just want to let you know, like, I've been watching your videos and I think that you would be so much more beautiful if you didn't wear makeup, and writing me literally like a paragraph around how he's disappointed that I wear makeup. Like, this is a total fucking stranger. And in the moment I was really triggered by this because I feel like my whole life I have just met men who think that us girls get dressed in the morning for them. Like, I literally could not give a shit what like some random guy on the street has to say about how I look, how I dress. Even in the past, like, people I've dated be like, oh, like, you look prettier without makeup, which I mean is a compliment, but also like my end goal in life isn't to be pretty. I'd rather be cool than be pretty, you know? But this was totally inappropriate because I don't know this person. And yeah, I was really fucking pissed about it. And I was like, how dare you? Like, who are you? But something really good, something that I have been working on is, instead of being reactive, just have this sort of ball and aura around myself that isn't affected by outside circumstances and can observe instead. Sort of like in Disney when Cinderella is in her, she's like mopping and then there's this ball and she's in the ball, and sort of more observing energies than feeling like I need to fight back or explain how things are to people, you know? And so instead I wrote a song about this, which is gonna be really fucking cool. And yeah, I was proud of myself of, instead of letting this touch my aura, sort of just let this float by me. Do you know what I mean? There's this saying that's like, bees who are making honey don't take the time to explain to flies why they're making honey. You know, like, it's not our job as people who get it to explain, you know what I mean? And the responses, I like shared that on Instagram, and the responses were like, oh my god, we're so over men trying to like teach us something. And I think this is like a point in my life as well right now that, you know, I really feel like, okay, so for those of you guys who don't know, I moved to Paris as an au pair, and then I stayed because I met somebody and we had a really long relationship together and very like codependent. And so when I moved into this place, I was like totally alone for the first time, and I just really had to build up you know, like my business, you know, my career as an artist, my social medias, and find like where I belong in the world. And so I'm really at a point now where I don't, like, I just feel confident in myself and I don't want to hear anything from like guys, you know what I mean? I don't know, that's a bit of a tangent, but I just wanted to say this about my last days in Thailand because I also think that like played into why I didn't do one last Thailand vlog, because I do think that it sort of put a damper on the end of my trip. I'm not gonna lie about it, but like I said, no situation is inherently negative. It's just that we haven't taken the lesson from that thing yet. And I think we could also say that there's some things that are like really fucked up in life that happen, but I think that there's always something to learn from what we go through anyway. So yeah, I just want to say to you, if you're a girl out there and you're doing your own thing, don't concern yourself with being pretty or dressing for the male gaze. Like, do you dress however the fuck you want? Like, take up so much space. Like, you were born for this. Whatever this is for you, you were born for it, you know? And I'm proud of you. So something that I've been doing since I'm getting home from Thailand is doing a lot of community events. Like, we had our little Patreon picnic, which was amazing. And actually there was this girl at the picnic and she reminded me of something that I had talked about in a video before about nightmaring versus daydreaming, because a lot of times during the day we just think about in our minds all the things that could go wrong. And I think that I was doing that a little bit around this new apartment that I'm getting, because it is like the first time that I'm ever buying a place and it's like a big deal. And so I was like, okay, well, what if this goes wrong? Like, I don't even know how to turn on the water or the electricity or all this stuff. But she reminded me at the picnic about this thing I talked about a while ago, about how instead of nightmaring and preparing yourself for the bad things that could happen, whenever you catch yourself doing that, daydream instead. Like, think about all the cool things that could happen. And so every time I catch myself like being like spiraling a bit, like, oh, like what would, you know, our brain has taught us this from an evolutionary standpoint to prepare us in case, because our brain is wired for survival, you know. But I really want to rewire my brain to expect good things to happen, because that's when you can really call those things in. So I wanted to remind you guys of that as well. If in your day-to-day life you're constantly thinking about like, oh, like this could happen or that could happen, just try for a few days to switch that, you know, and tell yourself like daydream instead. Like, oh my gosh, like I've been daydreaming a lot about my new apartment. Like, oh wow, like I can't wait for all like the little community events that I'm gonna have there and all the people I'm gonna invite over to play guitar with me. Speaking of guitar, since I got back, I've been doing this guitar riff challenge, because I just really wanted to improve at the electric guitar, and it's the first time in like 10 years I don't have an art studio, and so I'm like, perfect time. But it's been hot as fuck in Paris, and it's been not only learning the riff but also filming myself doing it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, like if you guys could see how small my apartment is, I literally I don't know how I've done it for the last like 4 years. I can like stand up, sit in my bed, but I mean it was fine because I had my art studio. But it's just been really challenging to film like in this in-between time before I get my new place. But I was like, why are you torturing yourself? Like, do what you can. But also I think that's a part of releasing the ego and not forcing yourself to do things that feel like suffering. You know what I mean? So yeah, tomorrow I have my état de lieu for my new apartment. I haven't seen it in like over a month, so I'm excited to see the apartment again. And the apartment, what I'm really excited about is it has a lot of things that need to be done to it. For example, the kitchen needs to be redone, and I was thinking about maybe creating my own tiles or having my friends come over. And you know, since I studied art, I can do ceramic and things like that, I was like, well, let's all create tiles, and so like really customize my kitchen. And I think that's why a lot of people weren't interested in the apartment, because it's a gorgeous place, but it is quite particular. And I think because a lot of people saw the things that need to be done to it as sort of like, oh no, I don't want to do that, I don't want to deal with that. Whereas I saw the fact that it wasn't just like every other apartment as permission to be creative, which is really cool. I'm excited about that. So tomorrow I'm going to do the état des lieux, and then normally the day after I get the keys to my new place. So I really count on, I mean, I'm just so excited because honestly, like without you guys, and I know it's so cheesy and everyone says it, like it's our place, like without you I wouldn't have gotten this place, but truly, like, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, well, more like 4 or 5 years ago, I was studying and working as a caissier at Naturalia. And then because of this community and the support that you guys have shown for me and my projects, I'm like just having all of my dreams come true. So I'm just really grateful for you guys. And I want to, in this new place, you know, make really meaningful content and show the process as well of just like sort of making a place your own, and more art vlogs and creativity. I'm also working on my first full-length book, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, I just wanted to update you guys now that I'm back in Paris. It's gonna be really crazy these next few weeks, so I will try to be very regular with my uploads now that I'm back. But I will leave you with an affirmation that has followed me throughout the years, and that I always say in times of just feeling lost, and that is, I release all anxiety, fear, and limiting beliefs with this breath, and you go, and I invite light, pure joy, and happiness in through my third eye, so that everything I touch turns to gold. Okay, I hope that you guys have a lot of fun this week, whatever you're doing. Try to find the joy, the play, the fun. And if you guys are interested in getting the third journal in my affirmation series, I will link that down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Also, if you made it to the end, leave a comment that says, I know where I belong. And you can find me on Instagram. I've also been posting more on TikTok, which has been interesting. At first I didn't really like TikTok, but now I kind of get it. I'm like, oh, this is actually really creative and fun. So follow me on TikTok if you'd like, as well as I have a Patreon out if you want to come to our meetups. We do Zoom parties, extra podcasts, etc. So I will see you guys in the next video, and stay tuned for what's coming next. Bye!